Hello and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Read-Through podcast. My name is Peter Bond. I've read every book in the main series, however my co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello.
I thought you were about to sneeze. You had this sneeze face on you.
It was because I knew that my voice was not ready for the energy that I was trying to bring to it, so I had to wake up for a second and then
you had to stir it from within you.
It came from a deep place of love and excitement.
Our producer AJ Fileri, how are the bars, the levels?
La 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 la. The levels are great. I also had to do my vocal warm-ups.
The rain planes in lanes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains.
Unique New York. Irish
And that was our
wristwatch.
podcast, Deformed Body in a Sack, Joshua Dean Baker.
Yes, that is my great secret. Every time we record, one of them has to just prop me on a chair.
And
that's sad.
Thank you, IRTP, for that name. And this brings us to a big honking episode of the show. In fact, our last episode was quite a big honking episode. Honking, like a truck.
Beep beep.
Beep, 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 beep. And that's because today we're talking about the ending of Midnight Tides and everything that comes to pass. So, we're just going to get right into it. I'm going to guess we have a lot to talk about. So, without further ado, Chapter 23. The Eater arrive at Bran's Keep. Udonis thinks on the impending power of powerful Eater sorcery. He speaks with Featherwitch, and the two agree that the Lethari are going to lose. They speak more of Det, Mayan, and the Christening. Troll watches as powerful violent sorcery begins the battle. Udonis watches as Lethari sorcery begins to answer the Eaters. Andy Wraiths join. The Lethari sorcery is powerful, killing thousands of Eater forces. The Warlock King responds, his sorcery killing tens of thousands of Lethari. Udonis' position is endangered by the violent sorcery. Massive pillars of magic, flesh and bone are out of control. Eater women protect Udonis and the others. Udonis goes to find Hull and Rulad. Troll challenges Karnath, who he easily defeats. Alrada An urges him to be punished, but Troll shows the soldier mercy. Udonis reaches Rulad, but is knocked back by Theridus. This angers the already furious Rulad. Although the battle is won, Rulad is furious with the Warlock King over his use of magic. Thousands of Eater died in the battle. Rulad wants to kill the Warlock King, but Udonis stops him and says that his brothers are nearing. Rulad stays his furor with the Warlock King, but Udonis knows that Mozag may have to be killed. The Emperor speaks with his family and says the dead will be buried together. Tomorrow they will march to claim the throne. In the end, Troll and Udonis are left alone. Troll recognizes the power Udonis has. They speak about the Warlock King, arrogance, and the day's slaughter. Troll says he is afraid of what is coming, and Udonis says they may have to try to hold on to it together. So the war's continuing here, and this follows after a series of battles we've seen, and of course we're getting closest to Lethris here, and this is another battle where the sorcery in the book is really at full display, and we talked a lot about the sorcery, I think, at the High Fort battle, right? And
Yeah.
And Josh, I wonder what you make of the use and the description of the sorcery here, which it was already pretty intense in the last battle, and it gets cranked up even further.
Yeah, I think I really enjoy that in this book we are seeing this kind of clash between, wanting to do things the honorable, old-fashioned way versus the other people saying, no, we should just kind of cut through the bullshit and, mass murder people. And it's It's a very interesting because I totally understand that as brutal as the sorcery is in this, like in the eyes of Han and Mosag, you know, what he's doing is he's protecting the Eater, you know, he's preventing them from having to die for this war. But, you know, he is doing it by just horrifically murdering people before they even have a chance to blink. So I also really find it, I guess the word is funny. Earlier in the book, I just like, it's crazy to me how many times in this book, like the downfall of the Lether can be attributed to pure haughtiness. And it's like over and over again, they've got this idea of like, well, the magic will cancel each other out and it'll be down to the fighting. And over and over again, it's like this army that has relied on mages for like centuries just gets blown away because they're fighting an organized force for the first time like ever. And they're just kind of like unable to understand that like possibly someone could have better magic.
What I loved about this magic, despite, you know, including its absolutely horrifying bone, like all this imagery, I you know, really loved, jives so hard with me. But, you know, a lot of the times the magic is really described on a one-on-one level. It's like, I'm here and I'm like, we're doing this thing and it's kind of it's a more intimate thing. And I feel like this is really portraying it being used on this huge military level scale where it really is about annihilating thousands of opposing forces. It's quite horrifying.
Yeah. Also, I would like to say that it is also it's very interesting to me that the civilized Lether, their magic is the most raw, untamed, like ugly bullshit of anyone. Like at least Han and Mosag's like, well, it's whirlwinds of bones. I mean, I am metal, you know? I don't know what to tell you.
He is metal. It's true. It's true.
I listen to a lot of Slayer, so here we go. And the Lether are just kind of like, what if fire but bigger today? Like I don't think we've seen them do anything that's not fire-based, which is dumb.
So in this chapter, we were actually kind of making fun of the Warlock King last time. And in this chapter, though, and later on especially, you really kind of see that he is a bit of a formidable character, you know? And I wonder if you were starting to see that in this chapter, or I wonder if you even agree with how I described him.
Good question. So I want to preface this with, I had no idea what was going on, as per usual, in that chapter with the magic. The magic always confuses me, because how am I supposed to know who's doing what magic? So really, in my head, when I was reading it, all I saw was just like, the way I imagined it was blue light. And that's all I saw. And everything else was just what it was. No idea there were bones. No idea.
Interesting.
But yeah, so all that to say, when Rulad was like pissed off about the use of magic, I had no idea why. I didn't understand that Han Mosag was the one that killed all those people.
Sure.
So that was funny. But then upon realizing that, I was like, oh, okay. But then they were like, this was a slaughter. And I'm like, the ends justifies the means. So yeah, Han Mosag crushed it. But granted, he's annoying about it. I wish he was a little more humble.
Incredible take, India. Incredible take.
Yeah. I never thought I'd hear India, you know, India has done the equivalent of saying, like, I see the good and the bad side of nuclear warfare.
You know, gets the job done.
I'm all about, you know, get in, get out.
What?
By any means necessary.
And sometimes. Oh my gosh.
Whatever.
Anywho's, so Aj, you know, there's this kind of this button on this Karnath Aldra'an stuff, and it's kind of the end of Troll as captain participating in this squad, you know? Mm-hmm. I wonder what you make of this little B plot for the Troll plot throughout the book, now that it's over.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of could.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch Troll beat someone up, especially Karnath, who's such a just big jerk the whole time. Just a big meanie, you know? Mm-hmm. He's just a big meanie. So it was fun to watch him get his ass kicked. But I don't know. I always love reading like one-on-one fights, because there are a couple that we get in these last few chapters, and they're all just such a joy to read. And I also just like really enjoy the way that Troll fights. because a spear is cool. A spear is a cool weapon. I don't know what to say.
It is. Spears are my favorite weapons, guys.
Yeah.
I don't talk about this a lot, but I am horny for troll fights.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, I was really thinking that when Alrada An was like, hey, you shouldn't have showed him mercy. It's really going to come to bite you in the ass. I thought Troll was going to get fucking spiked, like.
Sure.
Oh, wow. That would have been intense.
Or something, like later in the later in the book, it was like, oh, someone just fucking impales Troll and he's dead. Like, but it didn't happen. So,
Inge?
Speaking of things that you thought were going to happen that didn't happen, I don't know why, and I just want to know your guys' opinion on this. Why didn't Udinas want Rulad to kill the Warlock King? Is it because he saw that he's low-key a power player, or did he just not want him to kill someone? Because honestly, I would have preferred him to do that in that moment.
I don't remember right this second. I think Udinas, if I remember correctly, it was something like he thought that would maybe be a line that Rulad probably can't walk back if he just murders the Warlock King right then. And at this time, Rulad was still, he had just died recently, but it wasn't that bad right this second. There was still a hope that he could stay a sane thing.
Yeah.
But agreed, he should have killed, I've wanted Hanan Mosag dead most of this book. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Especially, Yep.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of wanting him dead though, because I think obviously pretty much everybody wants him dead. But I do think that they realize if it weren't for Hanan Mosag, the Lethri.
That's wrong, AJ. That I don't want him dead.
Okay.
I want him to think long about his actions, start to think about what he's done wrong, and start taking accountability for his past. It starts with accountability, and I think this is what I'm looking for.
I agree. Accountability over
Don't
death.
put this in the episode. My brain is really working double time. I can make a death penalty joke right here with Pete. But then I was like, no, I can't. I can't.
Oh my god.
So you can cut that out.
Jesus.
Well, listen, I'm just saying, Inge already went to a pretty dark place with the murder stuff. So
okay, you're right.
But listen, it's all gravy and juice here.
That's
the phrase
not a
we
saying.
all know.
Nope, keep that one in.
Gravy and juice. Let's keep it going. Like gravy and juice. Let's keep on flowing.
Inge, the last part of this chapter you mentioned, it actually switches to Udonis' point of view. We see him deal with Rulad a bit, and then it ends with a conversation between Udonis and Troll, and I think it's the last time they talk before we really get to Lethrus and things really, the finale really begins, right? What'd you make of this conversation between kind of the two pretty central characters?
Do
you forget it?
Yeah.
I get it. A lot happens in these chapters.
Yeah, this whole section's like one page.
I was looking at your deer in the headlights stare over there.
I'm just trying to remember.
We can move on unless anyone has any hot takes. I mean, really, the meat of all this stuff starts next chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They do bring up in this chapter, what is it? Cold anger versus hot rage. And I thought,
I saw that. Yeah,
I forget that. I'm glad it didn't make me think during that. I would have been upset.
Hot iron.
No, you get it, like
cold.
One's hot and one is cold because it's slower.
You're making me feel pretty hot in the collar right now, AJ.
Okay.
Nice. Anyway, let's keep things moving as the Eater arrive at Lethrus and kind of the climax of the book begins. Chapter 24. The demon of Hanan Mosag travels on a furtive mission to find the heart of power that lies underneath Lethrus. Sulish fixes Shirk and then says goodbye to them both. Shirk-Alal looks at the Eater's arriving fleet and briefly speaks of Gurren Eberict. The king of Lethrus sleeps on his throne, his court around him. The court is concerned it will be their last day, and Bryce is reassured he will not be killed. Garen Eberic speaks briefly to the court, and then says he has other business to attend to. Bug stands on the city wall, looking out on the approaching Eater. An artist paints an interpretation of the impending conquest. Bug briefly speaks with the errant, and then he crosses paths with Iron Bars and the Crimson Guard, who he sends to kill the god of the Jack. Trull, Roulade, and the Warlock King enter the city. The Edor forces chart a path to the Eternal Domicile. Udanas is sent to safety to be with Urith. Hull is hoping to find Tehol for forgiveness. However, he thinks Bryce's death will be unavoidable, and that the city will fall quickly. Udanas is waiting with Urith and Mayan when he feels the Wivel awakening within him. Banaga leads the Jek into the city, hoping to find their god. They wish to slaughter the Eater and forge their own empire. Morak Nevith holds a bridge along with other Letheri soldiers. Roulade approaches them. Bug and the Crimson Guard near the temple. Bug and the Errant wait outside as the Crimson Guard enter and begin to battle. On the bridge, Roulade accepts the Finad's challenge, and they kill each other in a duel. Nevath takes some solace in knowing Roulade has yet to meet the King's champion. When Roulade comes back to life, he is screaming in horror and agony for Udanas. Urith hears her son's screams and looks for Udanas, but he is gone. Man flees into the city. Urith orders soldiers to find Udanas. She believes the slave has betrayed them. Kettle hears battle and thinks of the 5 Tarthanol gods. Then Silchus drags her down to a bank of a swamp. Here, Silchus is being dragged into the water. Kettle takes the 2 swords and waits. The Wivel leads Udanas into the city. His master needs him. Iron Bars and the others defeat the pack, and then the Errant heals them. They speak briefly, but Banaga finds them and attacks them. Iron Bars kills the Soul Taken and impresses the Errant. They are tasked then to find the Tarthanol, but only Iron Bars will go. The others will go to their ship. Inside the palace, Bryce notices the howling has stopped. And deep underneath the ground, Mosag's demon grows near. The Sita tells his friend Bug that it is time. Bug stops then and calls to the Jagat Witch and says it is time for her to repay her favor. The demon tries to then seize the power of the city, but it is an illusion, and the demon is trapped in ice. Far above this underground chamber is a lake, and on its shore is a pair of sometimes lovers. Ersto says he will marry Pinasol when the lake freezes over, and then all of a sudden, it does. We kind of forgot to mention it, but at the end of last chapter, there was a discussion about how Lethris is certainly going to be conquered, that the Eater are going to win, and like, war over, story's done. Do you know what I mean? So in going into this chapter, they're arriving in the capital. How did those expectations affect your expectations, and where do you think they were set for the actual conflict itself between these two forces?
Yeah, I also felt like that. So, you know, the bar was set pretty low, I would say. I don't love the scenes where they, actually come together because I have no idea what the fuck is going on. So I kind of really was happy that Roulade was like, no, let's do this with honor. So I was like, oh, good, I could read it. But when the actual conflict happened, in the, what is it, the Eternal Domicile? What is it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is such a badass name.
When it actually came to that, after everything, I was not expecting which I'm not surprised I wasn't expecting it, but everything that happened from when Roulade was like, yeah, let's go kick some ass, to when they actually got there was just I'm going to kill you, 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 I'm going to kill you. And I was expecting more survivors, I think, than I was left with. More people that I thought were going to, make it, just didn't. And I'm talking before we finish the book, I'm not talking about ones that came back. Wink, wink. But yeah, so I was really surprised by that. And then I definitely was shocked by the actual clash. So that's how I felt.
That's awesome. I'm excited to hear about. Let's go around the horn. I'm very curious. Josh, where were your expectations set? Because here's something I think interesting, and I'd like to, we were just talking about this tinier conversation that happened. But of course, going into the book, we kind of know the ending, right? We know, this is a book about Troll being shorn from his people. So, but at this point, the expectation is taken to this point. You know so much more about it. So, where were your expectations set at the start of these two chapters?
In my mind, it was kind of like we wouldn't have this book if it wasn't necessary, right? That's Steve has made it very clear in our talks with him that everything he does has a real purpose. And so I was like, I get that the purpose is in one way Troll, but I felt like there had to be a greater purpose. So I kind of felt like at the end of this book, we had to have enough players still in the game that this book would then impact more than just the Troll storyline going forward. But I did not know I didn't know which of them. I had my hopes. I hoped my boy Tahol would be alive with Bug. But beyond that, I guess I kind of assumed everyone in the Eternal Domicile would die. I felt pretty confident about that. I did not know what was going to happen with Saren and the other players just kind of scattered throughout the city. But I knew that enough had to be alive because there were some threads that you can't cut short yet. We could not have cut short the Crimson Guard thread. That has to keep going. Things like that. I think that's where I was at.
Quick comment.
I think they've both pretty much summed it up. I was kind of expecting more people to survive, but I was also, not surprised when people kept dying. I was upset, but I was like, yeah, this kind of tracks. And then just all the the Crimson Guard stuff and the Saren threads, like Josh was saying, it's just well, I know they're not probably going to get just cut short because I don't know, those two threads specifically are so interesting. And there also is a Crimson Guard book, which I guess is maybe cheating to know that exists.
There is. I forgot about that.
But yeah, I don't know. I was pretty much expecting a slaughter and kind of got what I was expecting. In one way or another.
All right, well then let's kick it off and get into the discussion proper. So it starts by tracking this demon underneath the city. Kind of comes out of left field to me, my first read. And, Angie, I wonder if you were kind of thrown by it in a way?
Don't even bother asking me about that fucking demon. Literally, I think at some point in this group chat, I was just like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean an underground demon? Where did it even come from? How? So I was just like, oh, okay, this is happening now. That's all right. Let's see. Let's keep going. I wonder why.
Yeah, I agree. It does feel like a totally random thing in a way, I don't know. Not random, but yeah, I feel similarly. Then there's this scene later on, and we're going to try and get to everything, but of course, so much happens, So there's this scene, Josh, where Bug is standing, and he's with an artist who's doing an abstract interpretation of the scene.
I loved it.
And first off, I wonder why you thought it was necessary for Steve to take a dunk on abstract art. And then number two, I wonder what, ungenerous characterization. But I also wonder, more importantly, my real question is, this is the second time where we've met a painter doing some painting and had someone talk to the painter about it. Wonder what you make of that.
The first time was Memories of Ice, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know. It was just such a strange kind of... I'll say this. I like this scene because it is such a nice moment of... There's no consequence to this scene.
It's like a moment to breathe.
So it really works in that way. I don't know. Maybe it's Steve talking to, how history is often framed, the things that when we look back at historical events, yes, paintings and artwork can be a way that we look into things, I guess, but I don't think I'm smart enough to know. I don't really like art. So that's my hot take.
Hot take out of Josh.
Yeah.
Well, it's a minor point, but I wanted to touch in since it's kind of a recurring thread. If
there's more artists, it'll be fun.
You like the talking frog.
The talking frog was very good. Actually, I think I'd be more into art in general if more artists had talking familiars, you know?
Inge, so coming into the city, we follow Hull a bit more, and we talk about Hull and his relationship to forgiveness and the idea that he is seeking forgiveness from others. And I wonder what you think of these last moments we spend with Hull and this kind of last moment fleshing out his character a bit more, because obviously he's going to get killed next chapter.
I think that Hull, I don't know, I don't have any thoughts about this. Like, I think he wants forgiveness. I think he's looking for more so like understanding as well, which I guess can go hand in hand with forgiveness. And I don't know, he seems pretty like upset, but kind of resigned to the whole situation that it is happening. Even like making like, well, my brother's going to die. So yeah, it was just like, ugh. So I don't know. I don't really have any particular thoughts about it. I don't know. I never really connected with Hull's character that much either. Like, I don't feel like I had many experiences that made me like, ooh, Hull. So, like,
Josh, I'm going to get to you. You're raising your hand, but I'll just quick say this to push it into Josh. Like, a cynical part of me wants to be like, isn't this section here just to try and like have us sympathize with Hull a bit more before Erickson kills him next chapter, so that we like feel more sad about Hull's death? Do you know what I mean? Like, isn't that really why this scene's here, you know? However, I really love this scene, and I find it's really beautiful written, and it really makes me connect with Hull's character in a way I never had before. So I really like this scene a lot, despite this part of me that feels that way. Josh, what's on your mind about this?
My take is fully in the opposite direction. This scene made me really dislike Hull in a major way.
Really?
Yeah, it had been building. I don't know. I've not loved Hull this book. Everyone, I mean, look, we all know I'm a Hull stan, all right, till I die. But I really think in this moment, I got the feel. I just felt like,
you got a
oh my God. I read this scene and I was like, this dude is so fucking full of himself. And like, I just got the feeling in that moment that I was like, I don't know that you do understand all the bad things you've done and understand like what it would mean to kind of atone for them. Because currently leading a genocide, like this was the moment that I was like, helping lead a genocide does not make up for other ones you've done. You big dumb idiot. And I got very upset that he was like, I hope my actions don't murder my brother. And not like, and he had no, like, he's just so confident in himself being fine. And that made, like, when he died the next chapter, for like an hour, I was like, man, that was really out of left field. And then since then, I've been like, nah, good. Done with Hull.
I did the genocide the one way, so I'm gonna flip it, and then
yeah, it's just like when my brain kind of read it that way for the first time, I was like, wait, that sucks majorly. Fuck this.
I guess I feel like in that scene, it's about his inability to forgive himself for this initial crime and how this has led him down this path that has kind of, you know, led him to this terrible place, you know? But
yeah. Personally, I don't think that finding yourself should involve the murder of tens of thousands of innocents.
I think that I think that's a fair point of view, Josh, and I'll grant you that, you know.
Thank you. A nice bath, some Epsom salts, you know, just really soak it out.
10,000 innocent people.
So, Ange, we check in with Banaga and the Jek are one of these minor plot lines that all start kind of being pulled in. Wonder what you make of their presence, and did it mean anything to you, their presence, and then their defeat?
Literally, no. Another thing that I was like, why are you here? What are you doing? Out of nowhere, there were wolves. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? What else can we put into this last chapter that was not there before, but like kinda?
That's AJ, you seem
AJ's
like
offended.
you have a different take.
No, I don't know. The wolves aren't really from nowhere. We've known the Jek could turn into wolves this whole time.
No, I know that, AJ, but why are they
well, that's
there?
Because the Jek are with the Eater.
I agree with Inge. I feel like the finale has plenty of stakes as it is. I don't need the Jek to be here and they want an empire and,
Yeah, they're the Corbel Adam of this fucking book. Yeah. The people who think they're way smarter than everybody else, but they're just a bunch of dumb dick assholes. Like, how is your your only thing is you can transform into wolves. You know what kills wolves? Literally anything. Do you know what kills wolves for sure? For fucks sure? Giant bone tornadoes. You big idiot.
But I do think all the howling is cool.
No, it was just sad. I hated it because then you have to read about large dogs getting murdered. Not fun. Not fucking fun when their snouts smash into the ground. Are you kidding? Hated it. If
you think of them as humans, it makes it better in my mind.
Just like a person that's dressed like a dog.
Yeah, just imagine a person getting brutally murdered, and that did it for me. I felt fine.
What is this? What is this take? I cannot wrap my head around this.
Yeah, well, no, but all this to say, I mean, I don't remember reading much about, maybe I was just like not, but like I don't remember reading much about these giant wolves during any other time in the book except for like the beginning.
They were around, but in the background.
Yeah, they're so unimportant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll reframe this. I understand why they were there, but I also don't get why they were there. And
for sure.
That's all I got.
I'm with you, India. It felt very like, oh, we doing this? This is what we're doing now?
And then
okay,
they just died. Like it was just like they're here. Oh my God, they're guys. Everyone's like saying it like, oh my God, there's wolves, guys. There's wolves. There's wolves.
Yeah.
And then they were all dead.
Yeah, that struck me as kind of a goof.
It was very funny to me.
Yeah,
yes.
But I don't know. I guess in a way, it's like a form of levity in this chapter that he just gets just like unceremoniously crushed in like a second. But
all right, there's no time like the present. I have a big hot take I wanted to throw at you guys. You ready?
Okay.
No.
And maybe it would be better to do later on, but I'm throwing caution to the wind. When I think about this Jek thing, and then some of the Tarthanol God stuff, and a little bit of the Azaz stuff, although I think that's starting to click into place a little more for me, it really leaves me stumped in a way, And I think when talking about the House of Chains finale, I talked about how frustrating that finale was for me, and how I think it really left a bad taste in my mouth. I really walked away frustrated with that book, right? And when I think about this finale, it's very, it seems like it's all over the place. Do you know what I mean? There's like a lot of plot lines that have somewhat unsatisfying resolutions. There's all these B plots that I don't really know what we're doing, Like, why are we doing iron bars right now? Do you know what I mean? I just don't, like, why is this, like, why are the Jek taken? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's just because I feel like the Eder court stuff and some of this drama is so strong and so great. But when I think about it, I get very gunked up in this stuff. However, as a whole, absolutely love the finale. Think it absolutely rips. But I do think, here's my big hot take, I don't think it's the strongest part of the book. I think the middle part of the book, the beginning of the part, I just like these parts more. I feel like, unlike some of the other books where I just am so drawn to the finale, I just think, I don't know, man. I think it's a really, really great finale. Don't get me wrong. I know it led with all that criticism. Really love the finale. But I just think, I don't know, loves other sections even more. That's I was all over the place. That's me.
Yeah, I think this finale of the three that I've read introduced the most new stuff. Like thinking about the Tarthanol gods and the Jek stuff. Like this was stuff that we had been alluded to in a way. But it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to learn about it. But also, this is going to be the entire, like, this will be the beginning and end of that plot line in these, 90 pages or however long this last chapter is, or the, last two chapters are. So I understand your confusion with all of the stuff being jammed in and enjoying stuff earlier in the book. But I don't know.
I was going to say, I think it's kind of interesting to have it all happen on this specific day.
Yeah.
Because we are at the seventh closure, and I do think there's something kind of interesting and maybe even funny about, like, everyone thinking it's these two. Obviously, the clear options are the Eder Empire or the Lothari Empire, but then like the Jek are like, it's gonna be our empire, and the Tarthanol gods come back, and I'm sure they're like, it is our time. But it's like, I find it very funny. These very, very, very powerful individuals find out so fast that they're not anywhere near as powerful as they believe themselves to be. But I agree. It's very fast.
But the thing is, I love the finale a lot, and I'm really open. I would love to hear from people about how they think these plot lines fall into place with it. The Azaz stuff makes a lot more sense to me. But, like, I just feel like some of the Eater, Letheri stuff, some of the Rulad stuff, some of this Troll stuff, all this, I care about these characters so much, you know, that all of a sudden when we cut away from this really high drama to go to some of this, I'm reading about Banaga now, you know, like I just feel, you know, a bit left in the cold. But as I said, maybe I should have saved it for the end, really derailed the conversation. AJ, to get us back on track, the Eater enter the city, and they're going to cut their way into the Eternal Domicile, and we come to the bridge, and Morak Neveth duels Rulad. What did you make of this duel?
Sick. This duel was sick. I think it was a nice redemption for Morak Neveth to see his people's like main enemy and be like, this is how I redeem myself spiritually. Or whatever, you know, for leaving at High Fort. So I thought that was nice that he got that closure.
Yeah.
But I do think that fight, I think that fight fucking banged. That fight was so good. Like I said, there's a bunch of one-on-one fights throughout this, you know, till the end of the
there's
book.
A lot of close quarters combat.
And they're all great. And I do think they might all also end with Rulad dying.
A lot of them
too.
Which is pretty funny. But I thought it was very good. And I did enjoy the end of the fight when they were asking if, when Morak Neveth heard the Eater like, oh, was that the King's champion? It must have been. He ruled. And then it's just like we get his thought of like, they haven't met Breeze Benedict yet. And he died with a smile on his face. I was like, man, that's fucking cool. And I mean, and to see how well Morak Neveth fought, honestly, was kind of surprising. And for him to just, you know, say like, oh, there's someone that's even better than me was just very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, after this, Rulad shouts out for Udanas, but he's nowhere to be found. He was with Ureth and Mayan, but then, you know, this all happens. So, Josh, did Udanas betray Rulad?
No. Clearly, the next scene is Udanas being dragged in the form of the Weevil.
Yeah, I know. I guess I meant it in more...
Oh, you mean in the greater sense.
I meant it in the greater sense. That's the... Yeah.
My answer to that is I still don't fully understand what Udanas's intentions were. And the problem is Udanas doesn't either because he's three people. He is Udanas the slave, he is Wivel the big fucking cool dragon thing, and he is Wither the spirit of the Tisti Andi. And they all have their own intentions, and it's very hard to know at any moment like what the actual Udanas is thinking. And we get hints of it in his conversations with others, you know? But I feel like I don't really understand. I know at the beginning his goal was take them down from the inside, but I don't know that by the end it was. I mean, he definitely developed some kind of relationship with Rulad, and I think it was never explicitly said towards the end, like him being like, it's gonna feel real bad when I super betray this dude, you know? Like, I feel like that kind of got lost along the way. He was just kind of sort of living day to day with the fact that he's got a godson somewhere, and he's trying not to be torn from within by a fucking dragon spirit. So I don't know if I would say betrayal, because I don't know that there was any real strong intention of bad faith from Udanas. I'm sure maybe he had originally had that, but by the end, I don't know that he did.
Ange, what do you think?
I'm kind of with Josh on this because it seemed, I don't know, like, I guess objectively, I would say, like, it's just like Rulad's so fucking, like, I don't want to say that. I'm going to say, yeah, I guess. Because, like, I think in some ways he knew that he was not going to stay. He wasn't going to be in control forever of himself. And, like, getting into this place when, oh, wait, I want Josh to finish his point, though. Because maybe
I just rethought a lot of things. And I would like to bounce in here and say that I do think that, in a way, Udanas betrayed Rulad by becoming the thing that Rulad needed and never backing away from that responsibility. And as I said, I think he did know eventually that he would not, or as Indy was saying, it was kind of guarantee that eventually he wouldn't be in that position. And so, like, by becoming the only thing that can bring Rulad back, I think in a way he does betray him when he eventually he isn't there.
That's an interesting take. Inge,
I'm sorry, I had to pop
why
in.
don't you follow up and then what did you think of Josh's?
Yeah. So that's where I was headed. So
Yeah, sorry.
no, but that's perfect. So yeah, so Josh really hit it on the head for what I was going to say. I mean, when you take on the responsibility of literally being somebody's sanity, if you leave and you are, that's like your role, my guy. Like that, it's a betrayal. However, we all got to live our own lives. We all have our own paths. So we're not responsible for anyone's. We got to live for ourselves. I don't trust these codependent relationships.
And he was like literally dragged. There's that. But yeah, I know it.
Yeah,
we're talking in a more,
Yeah, but I'm interested in hearing like what you guys think about it too.
Yeah,
AJ
it's like
and
a parent that always gives their child their like pacifier or their security blanket or whatever whenever the child starts to cry a little bit. And then the parent is like, maybe I should stop doing this. And they stop doing it and the kid just screams nonstop. Like
in agony.
Udanas, in agony. Udanas is that, pacifier or security blanket or whatever. And I mean, whether he meant to or not, I don't think he meant to. He was just trying to do what was best for him, honestly, like keep himself useful so he can keep himself around. But also what was best for Rulad in those moments. There was no like further thought past like we have to keep him happy now.
Agree. Whether I'm really don't even know how I feel. You guys are twisting my mind noggin, and like I do think he was coming. Although he talked about betraying, I was going to say he was coming from a good place, but I just don't know if that's true. Who is this man?
Yeah, he's so hard. You can't. It's hard.
Yeah.
I really feel like of all the characters in this book, we know Udanas the least, and we've spent so much time in his head.
And I think it's because Udanas knows himself the least out of all the characters that we've read. Because
true.
This whole, he is, a slave the whole book. So his role is to do what others, ask of him or demand of him. And even when he's acting for himself, quote unquote, he is kind of doing what others demand of him, I
gotta say, he was a character I loved the first time I read the series, and I'm just tuning even more intensely into him this time, Yeah. So, Inge, he is dragged across the city to the Azath, where we're finally getting more of a look at what's going on. So, Kettle is... she's alive, and she's in this swamp. Silchus is there. What did you make of all this stuff now that the Kettle, we really see what's going on more clearly?
Honestly, poor little Kettle is just like a fucking vehicle for this story to move around on. She sees shit that she doesn't need to be seeing. So, so when Kettle hears whatever and then gets pulled into that hole.
Yeah.
And then that's where Silchus Ruin is, right?
Yeah.
In the ground. I mean, I kind of liked that. I thought it was spicy. Who was pulling him back into the hole?
We don't know.
Yeah, we thought.
Wait, I thought it was.
Know.
I thought it was Menendore.
No, we thought it was the Silchus Ruin's daughter, who Menandere and her sister were dragging to the Azov.
Do we not think that anymore?
No, because it seemed like it was someone that Silchus Ruin is like afraid of.
Oh.
He was like, "Give me my swords," and she was like,
"Yeah."
Okay.
I mean, unless he's afraid of his daughter for some reason, but
I think my dad's afraid of me.
Nice.
I think all dads are scared of their daughters, but
I think that's accurate.
Yeah. So I really liked that. I thought it was interesting. I have no fucking idea what it means, but like him coming out of the ground with the swords. And then, I don't know. There was something about it I thought was cool. I have no idea what it was, but just like the visual, I guess, was cool. And then what else did you ask me? I forgot.
No, that was about it. It's just trying to get an impression. Awesome that you loved it so much. Josh, did you grok it that way?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which part are you asking? Did I grok that?
I don't know.
Oh, the kettle shit. Yeah.
I guess for me, as I mentioned, I feel like the Azaz stuff kind of leaves me out in the cold a bit. So I was just I was really happy to see Inge like lighten up about it,
Well, having no idea what's going on, like I don't look for meaning anymore.
I think I have more thoughts about it for...
No thoughts, head empty.
I have more thoughts about it in regards to next chapter with like the most badass fight scene I've ever read.
All right.
You say that every time,
Josh, I think you've said that. I think you've said that about like every. Yeah.
All right.
So here's the thing. I'm a simple man. I get Tobakai. I get an avowed happy man. You know, I don't need much else.
So easy.
Yeah.
Easy to play.
I get Ublala with a log. He's already got one, but we get another. You know?
Gotta say though, when he breaks the branch off, you like, I'm instantly like, it's time. Like we're doing it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Corlo's
Loved
like,
it.
it's the size of my torso, and he just fucking snapped it off a tree.
Feels good.
Oh yeah.
God. Whew.
So, Josh, at the end of the chapter, the Sita shouts out to Bug. He's like, "Yo, Bug, my friend. Did you like this moment throw you?"
No, I've been excited for this for several chapters because, like, the Sita has been working on something, right? And we know, we've never seen it, but we know from both sides of this war that the Sita is not only revered, but, like, literally feared. Like, he has so much just raw magical power. So, like, I've been waiting here, like, he's got to have some plan. And it didn't occur to me that his plan was to literally trap a god. And it was great because it tied up the Jag witch, which I'd completely forgotten about. But yeah, I remember that now after reading, I was like, all right, they did have a favor. I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I understood what was happening, which I know Indy did not as much because it is very much out of left field and described in a very strange way. But I don't know. I think really it made sense to me because like over and over again, what we're told is gods want more power than they currently have. And so like as soon as that god was like, I sense a power, I was just like, that's a trap. My guy, like there's nothing there. Yeah, I didn't expect.
You've been trapped. Sorry.
I do think it's cool. Oh, I just made the connection that the book starts with a Jag Hut trapping a whole bunch of things in ice, and then it kind of that happens at the end too. So that's interesting.
At the end of the chapter, there's a comedic kicker with a young couple kicking, and they're like, "I'm gonna marry you when the lake freezes over." The lake freezes over. What'd you make of this scene in the middle of the finale?
I thought it was a great, like, calm before the storm moment. I mean, the storm has kind of been happening, but, like, you know, this last chapter's markedly larger than the last few have been. So, you know, shit's about to go down. So I think it was a nice, like, we can still see what's happening, but from, like, a disconnected point of view. And also from a point of view that I don't think have gotten throughout the whole book, really, of, like, just a civilian. Like, what is it like to be a civilian in Lether during all of this stuff? And the fact that, like, all of this, like, I guess, life-changing stuff has been happening to, like, Trull and Udanas and, like, Breeze and, you know, all this stuff. And then to go to the Lether people and they're just, like, chilling out because, like, what else are you going to do as a civilian, you know? No. Like, you have no choice but to live out your maybe end of days and, you know, get drunk with the person you love and be like, hey, I'll marry you someday. Probably not thinking that you're going to survive, you know? Or knowing you're going to survive and knowing that your life isn't going to change no matter who's in charge because you're always going to be, you know, a civilian. Like you're always going to be underneath and unaware of all the inner workings of the higher up people, you know? It's just I thought it was a very cool way to bring us into chapter 25.
That is a crazy take, Aj. I really loved it, loved everything you said, but I mostly just thought it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, Steve, you know.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I read it and I was like, God damn, I could write a sitcom. This was such an easy joke and the payoff was so good. God damn it.
Yeah.
I have a question before we head into the next chapter, though.
Hit
I have a question
me,
too after
baby,
India.
one more time. Do you know that song?
I'm not sure I do.
We can't actually put that in the podcast, Pete. Sorry. So
Okay, well, I just sang a song.
copyrighted.
You may have heard of it.
you can't say the name of it.
It's called... India, what's your
All right,
question?
India, what's your question?
Your question.
Okay. I was just waiting for you guys to finish. So the thing that was underground.
That's what.
Shut up.
The thing that was underground. What was it?
That's the demon that Hanan Mosag had been using the whole book, like the thing that destroyed all the boats in Trait, the thing that was under the boats and killed all the Lether.
But you said it was a god.
Yes. So way back when, well, I say demon, it was a god. Way back when Briz...
They say demon. They say demon.
Yeah, they say it was a demon.
Well, they don't know he's a god.
Of course they don't.
But so he's the thing.
When we're getting its POV, they call it, or the book calls it a demon.
Yeah, Josh.
It's a god. It is the god that is removed from the slab of stone that Breeze goes and reads from with the guardian who comes for him at the end. It's one of the elder sea gods that has lost their name to time. But they call it a demon because it is a demon. What is a demon if not a god that is not worshipped, in some ways?
I gotta tell you, I don't know what this is, so I would love to clarify. I read it as just like a powerful demon, but what you're saying is really persuasive, and I'm pretty sure you're right.
It is 100% what it is. He goes into the water realm to figure out what it is, and they say these are gods that Mael convinced to give his names to Mael, and then they would live on down there. And then he left for a while and was being bugged because immortality gets boring. And so Hanan Mosag went down there and just stole one of the gods.
Josh, you're blowing my mind right now. So.
Yeah, but did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Josh, what was your final thing?
My final question was, have you guys watched WandaVision yet?
Yes, and that's literally what I was thinking about.
Because we were talking about sitcoms.
We got to do Patreon.
Yes. Before we move on, we want to just take a moment and thank everyone who backed us on Patreon. India, do you want to thank these lovely people?
A warm and loving thank you to Jake, Dominic, Chaz, Francesca,
Philip, Fantasty, Quentin, Matt, Luke, Seth, and Perwalon.
I tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I tell you what.
So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
I really want. AJ.
I want to thank you.
I want to thank
thanks
you.
All our patrons. We've had a lot of. We've had a lot
of. If you're not going to sing it right, don't sing it at all.
We've had a lot.
It beautifully.
We have had a lot of new patrons in the last couple of weeks, and it's really nice to see coming into the new year that people are still willing to back the show. So, thank you all very much.
Agreed.
And let's move into this final chapter. Please, for the love of Christ.
Give us all your money.
Did you keep it? Did you keep in the song, AJ?
Maybe. You'll have to find out.
Yeah, why are you asking now? He's not as we're going cutting.
All right.
God, I wish. Honestly, that would make this so much easier.
Let's move on to chapter 25. Chapter 25. Shirk is worried about Garen Eberict going after Tehol. She finds Ubala in the crypt. Ubala says he loves her. Shirk drags Harlist out of sarcophagus, and then they head towards the cemetery. Rulad continues to scream. Troll demands Udonis to be hunted down. The Warlock King tells the Emperor that Udonis has betrayed them, that he can only trust the Eater. Rulad says the Letheri are nothing. He orders Mosag against the Letheri soldiers. Berth tells Troll of Mayan's disappearance. Troll then orders Theridus and Midik to find her. The Warlock King has destroyed the remaining Letheri soldiers, and he says it will be a day of suffering. Ironbar arrives then at the Azath. He tells the Toblakai that he has killed the pack, and then he will kill them. Bug moves towards the Azath, sensing a convergence. One of Eberic's soldiers has killed Tehol's bodyguard, and then they see Mayan running down the street. Garen's soldiers attack some Eater, but Garen pursues Mayan, hoping to capture her for his own violent ends. Tehol's final bodyguard warns him, and Tehol heads across the street to hide. Eberic grabs Mayan, but before he can do anything, she stabs herself in her chest. Garen is shocked, but then is grabbed himself by a mixed-blood Narek Tarthanol, who slowly kills him. His killer is Un, the boy whose grandma's funeral Bug presided over. Tehol watches Mayan stumble forward and then fall dead. Then Eater warriors rush in, killing his last bodyguard. They are shocked by what has happened to Mayan. They don't believe Tehol is innocent, and begin to beat the man bloody. Hull sees the beating though, and being worried about who is being beaten so severely, he begins to walk towards it. However, a Narek stops him, and Hull recognizes him as one of Buruk's servants. The Narek says that Hull's heart has been poisoned because forgiveness is not within him. Then the Narek stabs Hull from behind, killing the man. Chalice tries to tell the Eater what happened. That Mayan stabbed herself, but it is no use. He covers Tehol's body, but Chalice is beaten as well, and in the end, his skull is stomped on, killing him. The errant tries to guide the Warlock King's sorcery, and thinks of Mayan. He watches iron bars, and then begins to move towards the Eternal Domicile. Ubala finds Corlo outside the Azath, breaks a tree branch off, and then goes in to fight his gods. Udanas is embattled and bloody, kept alive by the Wivel and the Wraith as he gets to the Azath. He enters the barrow of the Master, and the Wivel claws free of his body. Kettle sits on the bank of the swamp, and Udanas' body lies on the bank now. The Wivel crawls into the water, and the Wraith tells Kettle that drops of her blood will revive the man. Above, Ironbar struggles against the Toblakai, but Ubala helps him. Bug finds the Eater attacking Tehol. The manservant violently kills them all, sending the last one into a magical portal to Bug's Warren. He picks up Tehol's body and walks away. Nearing the entrance of the Eternal Domicile, Troll thinks about power and arrogance, and then they begin to enter. The Warlock King and the Kristan lead the way. Bryce watches the Eater approach, and then Brizad speaks to him. He says that Morak Nevith is dead, that Garen Eberic is in pursuit. Bryce asks the man what his true identity is, and Brizad says he is but a witness. Observing the Sita, Brizad says the entire power of the Sedans will pass through him. Then, the Warlock King approaches the Sita. Kura Khan calls on him to find his sea demon, but he cannot. The Warlock King becomes enraged, and the Sita begins to bombard him with sorcery. The Kristan are blown back. The Warlock King will fight alone. The Cedar's power is terrible. The power of the Sedans, mighty and consuming, threatening to kill the entire Eater people. The Warlock King starts to quiver, shaking into deformities, chaotic sorcery rending his flesh and muscles. The Sita knocks away Mosag's attack, and fire lashes back towards him. Fear sees the Eater failing and urges Troll to intervene. Troll steps forward, and in the shadow of the pillar, feeling he has no choice, he launches his spear and strikes down the Sita. Bryce steps forward, but it is no use. Kura Khan is dead. At the Azath, Udanis is healed by Kettle, and she speaks with Wither. Silchus Ruin then crawls up out of the swamp and takes his swords. Wither introduces himself to his lord, and then he dives back into the swamp to help the Wivel. Corlo is worried Iron Bars will die soon, and then Shirk and Harlast appear. Ubala kills one of the gods, and Iron Bars is knocked down. Silchus then emerges and kills the remaining Tarthanol gods by himself. Brulad enters the throne room, dragging behind him large sacks. The Warlock King drew sorcerous power from them, and inside he reveals is the Queen and the Prince, both of them deformed by magic. Brulad orders the king to yield the throne, but he refuses. The king takes wine from the first eunuch, and they both drink a cup. The king orders Bryce to step aside, but the king's champion refuses. He will duel Rulad. Rulad gladly accepts, but is cut down quickly. Bryce moves swiftly and severs Rulad's tendons, ligaments, and muscles. Rulad falls to the ground in defeat and in agony, but still alive. He begins to scream, begging to be killed. he begs Troll to end his suffering. The king orders Bryce to kill Rulad, but he won't. This is what the seed is said to do. Bryce takes a goblet of wine for himself to drink it. Troll notices then the queen laughing. He recognizes that the champion is Hull's brother, but sees that the king and the first eunuch are dead, and that Troll should have warned him against drinking the wine, but it's too late. Bryce staggers down, poisoned and dying. Troll says somebody has to kill Rulad, but the Warlock King forbids it. Tehl wakes up in a crypt, under a river. Bug speaks to him about what has happened, about who is in charge. Bug is revealed to be the elder god of the sea, Mael. Bug offers to magically make Tehl forget this, but he refuses. Tehl asks Mael why he disguised himself as a manservant, and why he let Lether fall, and the god offers only a few answers in return. Fear crosses the city and thinks of himself as a coward, having had the same doubts as Troll, but never voicing them. He finds Man's corpse and identifies the dagger as Udonis's. He thinks the slave killed her. Troll covers his ears. Rulad's weeping is too much. The Warlock King rests on the throne. Rulad tells his brother he wanted to be included, and the Warlock King says he wanted to be respected. Then a guardian from the sea, the guardian of the forgotten gods, enters. He asks if Bryce was influenced into drinking the poison, and Errant avoids the question. Rather, Brazad asks if Mael had sent him. The guardian says no. He takes Bryce and says he will speak to Mael soon. Before he leaves, he kills Rulad out of mercy. Troll stands and throws the Warlock King off the throne, and then goes to find Fear. Out of the Azat's barrow climbs the Wither and Wither. Wither carries with him Udonis. Silchus says he has things he needs to take care of. Kettle asks if she can join, and Shirk persuades him to agree. Ironbar suggests that Saren could guide them out of the city to avoid the notice of the Eater. Sea Guardian finds Bug. It's Tehl's brother who has died. The Guardian takes the names of the forgotten gods and gives them to Tehl, and then takes Bryce into the water to be another guardian of the deep. Featherwitch enters the throne room and sees Rulad on the throne. The Chancellor Tribon Knoll has sworn fealty to the Eater and takes notice of Featherwitch. She takes notice of Bryce's severed finger and thinks there could be power in that. In her house, Saren waits alone, and then suddenly, Fear and Troll knock at her door. A bit earlier, Troll had found Fear, and they speak of Rulad. Troll thinks they can guide Rulad back to sanity together, but Fear rejects him. Fear thinks the only way they can save their people now is by going to find the spirit of Scabandari Bloodeye. He seeks Saren Paddock to guide him out of the city. Troll is worried, though, because he feels some force guiding them to her house. At her house, Fear says he needs Saren's help, and Troll thinks romantically about her. Troll says, though, that he will not go with Fear on his quest, that he will await his return. Troll offers his sword to Saren, who takes it, thinking the gesture is meaningless now. Then Troll says goodbye to his brother and wishes him well. Fear and Saren are about to leave when they are found by Kettle, Udonis, and Wither. Wither explains that Udonis is innocent, that he did not betray Rulad or kill Man. Silchus is disguising himself. After a moment of deliberation, Saren says she will guide all of them out of the city together, and then they will figure out what to do next. Shirk climbs back onto Tehl's roof to find the man and his manservant. One of Tehl's eyes has turned blue. Tehl still plans to crash the economy and says that Shand, Hejin, and Risara are best sent to those islands. Shirkalal says her goodbye then and leaves to become a pirate. Tehl says he is grateful that Bug did not alter his memory, and that it will let him grieve. This chapter begins in the crypts, and Shirk is talking with Harless Ubala, and they head out. Ubala confesses his love for Shirk, And
So sweet.
Inch, wait, what do you make of this little moment?
So sweet. So fucking sweet.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love
love
it.
the trio.
Oh, I love it. So sweet.
Just wanted to touch in. So just wanted to touch in with this little, this little nice little nut. So then Rulad is furious with Udonis, says it's going to be a day of suffering. He sends all these people out. The bloodshed is going to come into the city. And the threat is building even more. Elsewhere, Iron Bars is rushing to the Azath after he killed the pack, and he's going to go into this battle. And Josh, now that we've kind of seen Iron Bars at his full might, what do you make of this character now that you've seen him through in this book?
I mean, I don't know. Because we don't know a lot about the Crimson Guard yet. So to me, he feels like, I really don't know, honestly. I mean, he's a character unlike most that we've seen. Like Kalam and Quick Ben are powerful in their own way, but I feel like Iron Bars is on an absolutely completely other level of anything we've seen from a mortal, really, besides I guess Karsa. So I'm very curious to see if we'll ever learn more about what it means to become avowed and things like that. But I do think that what I find interesting about him, though, is that he had his humanity is still completely intact for someone that has been hinted to have been alive for an insanely long amount of time.
No, I think that's fair.
So yeah. So I'm excited to see. Excited to see more of him if we get to.
Great. Let's keep things moving. Inch. So this is when we follow up with Garen Eberic, and he's on his way to pursue Mayan and Tail, and it leads to this whole confrontation. What do you make of Garen Eberic now that his story is done and as kind of a minor villain in this book?
Well, no redeeming qualities, I'd say.
Fair.
Just, kind of a huge asshole. Terrible human being. And that's it. I mean, what else is there to say? Really, really, truly, just a selfish, nasty person.
Well, let me take it one step. Let's keep following this scene then, and soon Mayan dies here. I wonder what you make of Mayan's death and the end of her character arc.
Mayan had no character arc. I'm just gonna put that out there. I had no feelings toward the character. Mayan was more so just a name that just had things happen to her that was not relevant at all. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel mad. I didn't feel anything. I just said, oh, Mayan died. I don't know if you had any particular feelings about Mayan. Mayan really had no. Mayan was just a character that people talked about. Who was Mayan? I don't know. Someone's wife, then somebody else's wife, then a baby incubator. That's all Mayan was. So
I found it really not great that her addiction was fully off screen.
Everything about Mayan was fully off screen. Thus, I have no feelings except for what was the point of Mayan?
Yeah. I'm with India.
I'm in agreement. So
moving on. Sorry, Mayan. There's just no point in even discussing it on this podcast.
So just down the street, though, Tehol is also around these streets, this neighborhood or wherever, and he kind of sees some of this. He gets wrapped in the conflict, and Tehol starts getting pretty severely beaten, really intensely, and then later Charles tries to intervene. It's even worse. Josh, what did you make of this beating? I gotta say, it's pretty hardcore,
It was one of the hardest things I've read, in terms of I don't want to read this anymore. I love this character. This is terrible. And even more terrible for knowing that it's just such a random, senseless, violent act based on nothing but a misunderstanding. Really made it tough.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess in some ways it needed to happen in order for us to in order for Bug to in a way kind of fully kind of crack, there was nothing else that was going to cause that to happen, but felt rough for it to be, but I mean, I get it. You're in a war, you're in a city that's completely being ravaged by an invading army. Yeah, you guys should have not been waiting that whole time. You should have moved somewhere else from the jump. So
that is a fair point, Josh. I didn't even think of that, which is hilarious. That was the most disgustingly vivid scene I have ever read in my life. What was even more impressive, I would say, is that somehow, even though his skull was crushed, he didn't die. He was just like alive.
The other guy's was.
Chalice's skull was crushed.
Yeah, it was meant so that we didn't know which one died.
Oh. But isn't his eye pop out? How did his eye pop out?
That did happen. His eye was very badly damaged.
Before Chalice shows up, we do get a boot brought down onto Hull's head.
All I'm going to say is that you kick me one time, I'm dead.
Fully dead.
I've died.
I agree with that. Like, no,
fun fact: India has an intense fear of soccer for that reason. We'll never play.
Actually, straight facts. I hate soccer, but yeah, that was so vivid, so gross. Hated it. I was so sad.
In this sequence, did you think Tehol was killed?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
I was very upset.
I was 50-50 because every fantasy book I've read that does this, it's the other guy who dies. But I was like, Steve, he's always on some shit. But then I was like, but he wants me to think he's on some shit. So Tehol will survive. That is exactly what my brain did. I was like, the double cross.
You're doing full. What's the reference? You're doing the full poison cup.
Oh, from Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. Thank you.
The poison cup. The motion Peter was doing with his hands was crazy just then.
Anyway, so Hull is watching this beating, and he's like, I should do something. I should intervene. And then he is killed by one of Burrock's Narek servants.
Yeah.
What did you make of his death scene? And we both, Indy and Josh, shared their thoughts about Hull earlier. I wonder where you left with him and where you left with this death scene.
Yeah, I thought it didn't occur to me until the podcast, as most things don't. This last part where we got in Hull's head about like, oh, it's forgiveness time. We've never been in Hull's head before until this moment.
No, it's the first time, I think.
Which I thought was interesting. So I kind of bump up against, I guess, Josh's point of like, oh, it's just to make us feel bad. Where it's like, yeah, kind of. But also like, we've never been in his head before.
Well, that was Peter's point.
Sorry.
Not Josh's.
Peter's point that, yeah, it's trying to make us feel bad. But we've never seen his POV before. So he could have had these thoughts before. We just didn't know. You know?
Mm-hmm. True.
I don't know. Because it does, like, in that chapter or in that section talking about his feelings and stuff, it talks about the final layer of ash is him, like, the final layer of ash on his soul is him completing his grieving of Breeze, because he knows Breeze is going to die in this conflict one way or another, and that it is ultimately kind of his fault. So I don't know. I thought getting the whole POV stuff was worthwhile for me.
I like the whole POV stuff.
Well, I don't know. Whatever. I just...
Whatever.
It did kind of catch me off guard that Baruch the Pale's servants are now also a faction in this war. And only for this section. I just thought
we had the opening with them ages ago, and we didn't know anything. Yeah, we talked about this last episode about how we didn't know how that was going to come back.
Oh fuck, he's the one that had the dream.
Yeah, he was the first one to dream, and they were like, "You're going to use the old ways."
I brought that up to the fucking...
Yeah, you're the one who brought that up.
I brought that up in our group chat. I was like, "Oh, we haven't seen the finale of this Narek servant."
I almost texted you to be like, "Dude, it happened. Wait, what a called shot."
Damn. Well, I feel like a stupid asshole now. Anyway, yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So
a few chapters.
I read it just before we started recording today because I wanted to refresh myself. It's like chapter 19 or something. There is a scene at the beginning where the Narek that had been with Baruch the Pale, remember them, the servants?
They had the hallowed ground.
The Eaterlands. And then Mayan blessed them and unknowingly created a sanctified land for them. Mm-hmm. And so the Sita attacked, or, the mages attacked and destroyed that whole village, but their part was fine. And we saw that from their POV. And then one kid's like, I dreamt. And then they're like, we haven't dreamt since the betrayal. And this dude's like, but I did. And so they said to go find Hull. I assumed it was to deliver a great message, but apparently it's to be like, you fucked up one too many times. Flip! And just stabbed him.
Yeah, I didn't see a point in that. I didn't even care.
I want to say the only justification in my head is that it's supposed to be some moral about the one that, like Hull in his mind thinks he's doing this for the Narek, and the Narek are kind of like, nah, dude, like, you're helping to cause genocide. Like, the path is actually just to fucking forgive yourself and move on with your life. But you can't, so we'll move it on for you. And they murder him. But I don't think it's I think it's heavy-handed, personally. I thought it was kind of just too on the nose for me.
Oh, it was so off the nose, it wasn't even on the face. I didn't even...
So I'm going to say this thing, and I know I went on that kind of rant earlier that somewhat sounded negative, but I got to state, really like the ending of the book, really like this book, right? But couldn't Hull not be in the book? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Fuck Hull.
Like, what do we really do with him? You know, I like Hull a lot, but just, I don't know.
What do you like about him?
I don't know, I think...
He's cold iron.
He's cold iron.
No, he's not. He's an idiot.
He's cold iron.
He's fucking... He's plastic. He's brittle, and he breaks very easily.
Damn.
Anyway.
Please
Fuck
finish
Hull.
whatever you're chewing before you keep talking.
Yeah. Pete stretched his neck out to that mic right as AJ said it.
Here in the swamp, Kettle revives Udonis back to life, and then they kind of emerge out from the Azath, and Silchus, joins the battle that is raging, and he kills the gods. What did you make of the ending of this kind of Azath scene as they emerge out from it?
I feel like we're jumping right into the end of it. We haven't even talked about the actual fight itself and all the reveals in it.
All right, I can frame it differently.
Yeah, well, we didn't talk about Udonis's body getting ripped apart when the Wyvern
That's what I was.
out.
Well, it's good that you. Well, we can start there because my first question in response to that was going to be, what the fuck happened to Udonis and why was he dead?
He got alien.
Why was he broken?
You ever see Alien?
No.
Oh, well,
Me either.
What? Okay, well,
Why is
they
he
have.
shocked that-
I don't want to ruin the big scene in
to
Alien.
the Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're watching Alien on the Patreon. Back us, patreon.com/TemPaperBooks.
Anyway.
What the fuck happened?
I guess the Wivel, the dragon spirit, kind of took over his body, but sort of shaped it into its own form. And so, his body kind of got broken in the process.
Yeah, and then it left his body via his
magic.
Yeah, it ripped
butt.
out of its body.
Yeah.
Leaving him to die.
That sucks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
Definitely.
luckily, Kettle's got some Forkal Assail blood, and it's going to solve things.
But then did Udonis come back to life?
Yes.
I can't remember if he's conscious by the end or not, but he's going to be.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the
he
Wyvern
gets back
jumps
eventually.
out, and then Wither's like, hey, help him.
Right, but I'm... Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't remember if Udonis is conscious by the end of this. I know he's alive. Okay.
I'm pretty...
So
yeah.
So the other thing, not the Wyvel, not the Wither, not the Wither. Wither? Wyvel?
Wither is the Tisty Andy that's inside of him.
Why was he inside of him? To hide? Was he hiding?
Yes, he was hiding.
Got it. Done. We're good. We are good. Thoughts on that? No thoughts. No thoughts. We just flushed all my thoughts out. I couldn't have any thoughts because I was so confused. But now I got it.
All right.
AJ and I have a question for you because we were texting each other with a question. So,
But do we want to...
Me.
Okay.
Baby.
Okay, so in this fight, it's Iron Bars versus what we the whole time have been told are just 5 Toblakai, right? That's all we're told. But
Yes.
now they're being referred to as the Tarthanol gods. And we saw the Tarthanol, they were the ones who were putting shit on the statues and stuff.
Yes.
Okay? So now what AJ brought up was... Because, we know what Toblakai look like. And then they're referred to by Iron Bars as Tarthano Toblakai. And so AJ made the assumption that means that Ublala, being a Tarthanol, is also a Toblakai, or in his case, maybe part Toblakai. So are the Toblakai just called Tarthanol on this continent? And are they, is it like a Karsa thing where they don't know that they're Toblakai?
India's raising her hand.
I have a question.
Yes, India.
Yeah.
Also in relation to that
Question within the question.
Yeah.
All right, sub-question.
Weren't they kind of gods? Didn't they tell people they were gods?
Who?
The Toblakai.
The 5 Toblakai did, although they were actually Talanai Mass.
Are you...
I think that the whole... Well, and what did they call themselves back in Book 4? What did he think he was?
I don't know.
Oh, Tablor.
Tablor. I think they just thought of themselves as mighty warriors and everyone else were children. I don't think they felt they were gods, because they worship gods.
Got it.
god. It.
Go ahead.
So, Peter,
Proceed.
is Ublala like part Toblakai? Are the Tarthanol Toblakai?
Well,
That's
it's
what I
not an answer you're going to like, is my...
Okay, I mean, look, I would like an answer because AJ hit me with that, and I was like, that makes a lot more sense. I didn't even think about any of that, but
Tarthanol and Toblakai
Are
are
the same genus.
are the same genus is
Okay.
maybe the gist of it. They're under I don't know how much you know, but I don't know how really what I'm spoiling, but they are related in some way.
It's like the Andy Eater and Leosian. They're all like kind of the same, but they're just different flavors of the same.
It's a
Yeah,
little
colors.
different than that, but I think this is basically an answer. I don't imagine it's very satisfying for you, but that's my
Okay.
understanding.
So I'm right, is what I'm hearing.
I think AJ was right that like Ublala is a Toblakai in some way or something because these guys aren't Toblakai from
in the bloodline, you know, it's in the mix.
Okay. I think then AJ, I'm going to say that you were right. I think that makes sense.
Josh, you owe me
But
$60.
I wouldn't say AJ was 100% right. You know,
Well,
AJ's
sure.
still
I wouldn't
a
say I'm
little
100%
wrong.
right about anything in this book because
I'm just saying to say Ubala is a Toblakai is wrong. You know,
Well, part Toblakai.
he's part Tarthanol.
Sure.
Fuck you.
All right, moving on. Piece of shit. on the surface, Josh, the duel is going on. Iron Bars is fighting Ubala, and they're is fighting with Ubala, and they're fighting against these gods. What did you make of this fight? And then Silchus Ruin emerges near the end after they kill one of the gods, I think.
AJ pointed out that the phrase, if I'd known I was going to have to kill more than one god today, I would have paced myself better. Or whatever Ironbar says.
Dude.
That is the definition of big dick energy. Like that, he is just like oozing swagger with that sentence.
Iron Bars is like trying to get t-shirts made.
Yeah, I think that, like, from that point on, I was like, if anyone hurts Iron Bars, I will kill them. Like, he is my baby. I love him.
Yeah. I think that's interesting too, Josh, that you bring that point up because we do get outside of that fight at one point, see Corlo like exerting his
Yes, that was so cool to see.
Warren on the Toblakai, and I do think maybe that line could have been partly Corlo being like, say something cool that they'll be intimidated by.
Yeah. I know. I think these, like, I love the Bridge Burners and their shared history, but in some ways, I think these two are even doing it better for me.
Yeah.
I love Corlo and Iron Bars. I think it's great. And this fight is incredible. Like, he is all over the place. It's hard to actually kind of imagine it because like a 5-on-1 fight seems pretty chaotic, and then 5-on-2 kind of even more so. I love it. Also, Ublala is the GOAT for literally killing one of his own gods, or at least restraining and attempting to kill one of his own gods. Like, that's got to take some courage, some inner resolve.
All right, let's keep things moving. We can talk a little bit more about Silchus Ren later, but let's get to, the Eternal Domicile, where the Eater arrive, and we see Bryce a little bit at first, but then Hanan Mosick leads the way in. He speaks with Asita briefly, and then a powerful duel of magic goes on between them. India, what did you make of this
What do you think?
sorcerous entanglement?
Okay, so this is when everything comes through that one tile.
Yes.
It's the center of the sea dance, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, okay, I was like, this is so cool, but I bet for somebody that's like really understands, because again, I don't know what was coming through the tile. I just know that there was something powerful that was being like sourced through the tile. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I thought that he was going crazy. Everybody said he was going crazy. So like, I was like, okay, well, I guess like maybe he is. But then I was like, maybe not, because like, what would be the point of all that? So I wasn't like super surprised that he pulled that crazy shit out. But I thought I was really happy when Hanan Mossack started getting like all deformed. I felt satisfied. I'm going to be honest. I liked it. And I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Were you not satisfied by the thought of his body just breaking apart? Like, fuck you.
I wouldn't say satisfied. I thought it was like I I think it's really cool. I don't cool to
Sounded
read
like
about.
karma to
but
me.
it's like very horrifying, and I love portraying the magic having that toll on him. But anyway, continue.
I loved it. And then are we going to go into the troll part too, or are we just talking magic?
Just run for it.
And then I was so bitter when they were like, I don't know, I think it was Fear maybe, who was like, you have to do something.
Fear tells him to do
They're
it.
going to kill him. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm mad about that. Troll's like, I think that maybe this is not a bad idea. But then he's like, ultimately, he's like, well, I have to do it. Like, I have to do it. And then he kills him, the Sita. I was so pissed.
Yeah, I was too.
I was so angry.
That's what elicited the scribbling in my notes
because
of me just writing what the fuck over and over again.
I've been trying to support my boy Troll, but that scene was like, dude.
And at every point, like, obviously, which is also super fucking unsatisfying, you're always wondering, like, what's going to do it? What's the reason, Troll? What is the reason? And I was like, maybe Troll's not going to do it. And then no, he fucking did it. And chaos. I was so upset. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
But what was under the ground?
So, India, I think that tile is just like if you had a magic metal detector that like detected magic instead of metal, like that point is like where all the magic energies like converge. So it's the best place to channel his Warren or whatever the Sita channels.
That's the best thing I could have given you too.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that it was something specific, but okay.
My understanding is that the power of the seventh closure is being drawn in through this tile, and this is what's being drawn.
And that's why he was like crawling all over the floor looking for it the whole time.
Yeah, that's why he asked Breeze to count the tiles so he could find the center one, because that is where.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that.
I also think now it's funny knowing who Bug is now, that he was the one to finish the Eternal Domicile, because he had some like, God knowledge of like, oh, well, we need to have this finished so that the Sita can channel his magic through it. I thought that was just pretty funny.
But Aj, what did you make of this sequence in a whole, and Troll being the one to kill Sita Kurakan and his death?
Yeah, this sequence was fucking intense. It's like every instance of magic that we've seen throughout this book, but like turned way up, because it's just one crazy powerful guy against another crazy powerful guy. And I mean, to see the price that Hanan Mozag is paying, and in turn that we find out the prince and the queen are also paying for this power, and to see that the Sita is just like barely exerting himself in a way is really, really, really heartbreaking when Troll spears him in the side. Like audibly, I closed the book. I finished this book on, I don't know, Thursday or Friday, and I read the whole last chapter all in one day, but I closed the book and I walked away from the book for like 3 hours because I needed to just like clear my head, because I was feeling so many emotions at that moment, because damn did I think they were going to kill Hanan Mozag. Damn did I think that, And I just kept praying for Troll to be like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. And then it was like, oh, he inched closer. It's like, nah, he's not going to do it. It's like he pulled his arm back and took 2 steps back. And I was like, okay, he's not going to do it. And then we see Breeze see the Sita take the spear to his left side. And it's just fucking brutal. Just really, really, really brutal. And also, I thought when we sealed this demon away with the help of the Jagat, I was assuming that was why he found the tile, so that he could like help channel the trickster magic or whatever to make the demon think that there was something powerful underneath. But no, because after the demons found or whatever, every time Breeze sees the Sita, it says he's like motionless on the tile. I was like, oh man, that must have like taken a lot out of him or whatever. But no, he was just like taking a nap before he had to channel the world through his face or whatever.
He had to save up his energy.
Yeah, he had to conserve his energies. He was on low power mode.
So the sequence continues, Josh, and Rulad enters. He drags these sacks with him, and we see the price that was being paid. And then Bryce challenges him to a duel. And they duel, and then he like cuts up all of Rulad's tendons, and he won't kill Rulad. So instead, Rulad's sitting there on the ground. He's screaming to be killed, screaming to be put out of his misery. He's begging his brothers, who just won't kill him.
That was so sad.
How'd you feel?
I this scene is maybe one of the best scenes I've ever read in a book. I thought it, like, from start to finish, it was incredible for me. I just think, like, first off, this is the first time we get to see Riz fight, and he's incredible. Loses 2 fingers and just, like, doesn't bat an eye, which also at the end of this book might come back to haunt him, but we'll see. God, it was incredible. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect him to be so, like, masterful of the body's anatomy that he could, like, I get it. Because early in the book, people are like, oh, there's better fighters than him. And he's like, I wonder why it's me. And now I get it. It's because the dude can just ruin a man in under 30 seconds. Like, just
with surgical precision.
Yeah,
amazing.
Craziness.
Loved it.
And in the moment, I was very upset about the poison thing, but honestly, like, I think it was really good. I think like, looking back, like, oh my God, every line was just begging me to be not a dumb dick and understand that the king was, like, you know, drinking poison. Of course he has to, like, you know, the only thing they had left was the Sita. It's over now. You know, the king's going to go out in his own way to avoid whatever horrible fate. And in the moment, I was pissed that Briz was caught unawares and didn't get to languish in his, like, thing he did, but, like, probably for the better, you know? Because if Rulad does end up getting killed by somebody else, it's not going to end well for Briz. So, I thought it was crazy. And, like, the bags were brutal. As soon as they were used in the way they were used for, and then still brought in, I was like, fuck! Like, I knew it like a line before it was revealed. Yeah. And that was heart-wrenching. I thought this whole scene was so good.
I agree, Josh. And to clarify that rant I went on, I think it's because this throne room sequence is so amazing. Just so I'm so invested in all these characters. It's so well written, and it is just so intense that just some of the other stuff I just love this stuff so intensely, you know?
Yeah.
Inge, what did you make of this duel and Rulad ending on the ground begging to be killed by Troll?
So the little fight thing was so cool. Very interesting to read. Loved it so much. It was actually really gross, though, at the same time. Especially, like, the back part. He, like, butterflied him. So that was interesting. But then when he was like, yeah, he's not going to die. He's just going to be this way now. I was like, what the fuck? And then everyone else was like, what the fuck? And he was like, yeah, I didn't hit anything major. That was, like, beyond me. And then when he was asking his brothers to kill him and just, like, saying that all he ever wanted was to belong, so fucking sad.
Yeah, he finally says the words, I just wanted to be included.
Yes. Oh, that was so sad.
It was
what I said all along, you bastards.
Yeah, that is fact.
I'm sorry, I don't think wanting to be included is an excuse for war and
I mean, I don't
mass
either.
murder. Okay.
But Josh, what wouldn't you do to have your older siblings like you, you know?
I don't have older siblings, and my little brother and I have an okay relationship, so joke's on you.
Yeah. My sister, like, never included me, and I never once
thought about killing a whole continent.
Yeah, but that's just me. We're all different.
That's just me.
But yeah, so that was really upsetting. I felt, and I think it was in Troll's point of view at the time, and so it just made it, like, that much more, like, raw, I guess. Yeah. And then what's the last thing I wanted to mention? Are we talking about the poison thing yet?
Hit it. So Bryce also drinks a cup of poison wine and dies.
Livid. There's no words to describe how annoyed I felt. I just, like, as I do, sent, like, a rapid fire text messaging to the group chat. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening? Did he just? And then Hanan Mossag, whatever, is just, like, being fucking annoying in the background. Like, ha ha ha.
That's what he does best.
You didn't even see he had no faith in you. I was just like, ugh, so pissed. So pissed. And those are my thoughts. Oh my God. Not to mention, though, sorry, backtrack. When Rulad is begging and just being downright upsetting, and Fear walks out.
Yes, powerful.
That that was like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even understand it still. That's where I'm at. It was like he just couldn't even. He just had to go. How many times have you just had to go, you know?
We've all had to. Sometimes you do have to go, you know?
That was powerful,
what did you make
though.
of this big scene?
Sad, bad. Hated it. I mean, loved it, but hated it. Just really, like, I said that I had to put the book down for 2 or 3 hours, but I read this whole section as a whole, like from the sorcery and stuff all the way through the Breeze battle, and that is what broke me. I was like, okay, well, I can't read this book anymore. Just fucking, oh man, I don't know. I don't even have any eloquent way to say it. It made me upset and it made me really sad. Because damn, all Breeze has done is like what he was supposed to do, and like he was good at the thing that he was supposed to be good at, and he did it, but it still wasn't enough because other people didn't think that he was able to do his job, I guess. I don't know. It's just sad. Makes me very upset. So
I agree. I think the whole sequence in the core, as I said, I love it so much, and I think we didn't even really talk about the errant of it all, but of course he is
there's a bunch of stuff that we have jumped over, god-wise. I don't know. What do you guys think? So now I'm thinking about it. Like, do you think Breeze being a Benedict had any, like, because like the king was the one that poisoned the wine, right? Like that was his call, right?
Yeah.
So do you think Breeze, like being a Benedict, had any bearing on that? Because like Hull betrayed the queen, right? The queen and the prince and stuff, and like Tehol is just like a big scammer. So do you think in some way the king kind of doubted Breeze's commitment?
No, I think even if Breeze wins that fight, it's not over. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to die eventually. This is just kind of their moment where they get to gloat for a second. But he was also like, but then after that, they're going to want to brutally murder me. So let me just like peace out. I think regardless of who's protecting him in that last moment, he's drinking that wine.
What does that mean? Wait, what does that mean?
So,
God damn it.
Cut to, we're under the river, Tehol and Bug talk. And
we skipped the whole part where Bug finds Tehol's shattered body under the eater and like summarily destroys them all and sends one of them to the fucking like depths of the ocean to be crushed by the pressure of the water. Like, fucking brutal.
So that's, first off, really a surprising scene when Bug just rolls up and is like, we're doing it, you know?
Yeah.
But this really brings me how I wanted to talk about it, is it's at this moment that really we get to see what's been going on, you know, in a way. Bug is the elder god of the sea male, and he talks to Tehol all about what's happened and what their friendship has meant. And India, I wonder how this clicked for you, what you made of him being male, and what you made of this conversation of these two characters connecting at the end of this climax.
I had no idea who Male was. I thought that it was cool that he did all that cool shit. However, it had no impact and still kind of doesn't on who he actually is. But just to see that he's actually, you know, insanely insane power, crazy, was satisfying. Then the conversation with Tehol was tender. I loved it. I thought it was so sweet because
it's a really tender moment. I love it.
He just stays the same. Tehol, he's just the same silly man, just saying funny shit. And he's like, I love mostly when he's like, but a manservant? He's he can't even rationalize why he would choose to spend time with Tehol as his manservant. And it's just, he's just like, I enjoy you. You make life fun. Like they're just playing the game of life together, and it's just adorable. Love it, loved it. But at one point, Tehol was like, "Well, we never did eat enough to survive." So, what the fuck did that mean? I was so confused. Was he like supplementing his life with life?
Yeah, I think he was just using his god powers to keep them alive.
Yeah.
So he's like,
that
hey,
was funny.
Here's a shoe. But then he was just like, I'm a god, so you're still alive. Like,
you pass.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Can I say I was very, very happy that Bug ended up being someone that we knew about. I was really worried this whole book that the bug reveal would be like, oh, I'm X, a person we've never heard of, and it's in 4 books we'll understand what that means. I was very happy it was clear, like, no, I'm male. We know who that is, kind of. We understand he's an elder god. Done. Yeah. So, yeah.
I agree, and I really love that scene, but I want to get back to the ending of that scene. It's a little more of that scene, but first, the Guardian from the Sea we see earlier rolls up to the throne room. He kills Rulad to put him out of his suffering, and he also takes Bryce's body after a conversation with the Errant. And then the Guardian brings Bryce back and gives him to Bug. And I wonder what you think this means for the names of these forgotten gods that were given to Tehol, and if we'll ever see Bryce again.
Well, in regard to the second question, I think we may see Bryce again because of the end of this chapter, with Featherwitch noticing the finger that may come into play at some point. We'll see about that. India looks confused. In the fight, Rulad sliced off Bryce's pinky and ring finger, and Featherwitch sees it on the ground, and she thinks to herself, oh, that could hold a lot of power. I'll need to grab that when no one's looking. But we don't actually get confirmation that she grabs it.
That's so gross.
She definitely does.
She's gonna grab it. But, and again, I'm not saying anything about Steve and anime, but there's this anime out right now, and there is a whole thing with fingers, and curses. I'm just saying, Steve, a little derivative.
Derivative of an anime that's coming out right now.
Yeah. Shit, what did I think? Oh, with the names of these gods, I love Tehol having them, because I feel like Teo's the type to, like, know what to do with that in some way. I mean, we know that he's got an island full of people without identities. Maybe he uses them in some way to kind of breathe new life into these elder gods of the sea or something. I don't know. Or he just keeps them in his back pocket for a moment when he needs them. We'll find out, I guess, in 7 books. So, I don't know. I mean, I love everything about Tehol and Bug. I've said from the get they're my favorites. And I love that Bug doesn't take his memory, and they're just boys. And I love that Tehol has a blue eye now. Beautiful.
Yeah. No memory wipe for me. I would like to continue to hang out, please.
Yes, yes.
So after this, Fear, as you mentioned, left the throne room. So we see Trull go and catch up with Fear. And what?
This part bothered me.
Why did it bother you?
Because they were just like, I don't know what's leading me this way, but I just
know
I need to go this way.
It's the Errant.
It was the Errant.
What the fuck is the Errant?
Hey, by the way, the Errant has got to be the
What is that?
Okay, real quick. Errant is the god that we keep seeing. He's the guy who was the first consort to the queen. Yeah, shitty name. But Peter, he is the god from the first couple books, right? The luck god. I forget the name.
I don't fucking
right
care.
With the coin. What's the coin god?
That's Opan, and there's actually
this
two
is
of
Opan,
them.
right? Yeah, but isn't this one of them?
This is different.
Okay, well, they keep saying the push and pull, which is like literally them. Like the Opan is like the ladies push and the lords pull or whatever.
I don't
know.
like
Maybe
this.
there is a connection that I'm missing, but I'm pretty.
Okay.
I just want to lay out what the Errant is for India. It's just that it's a god, and he's been the first consort in disguise this whole time. It's the one that Bug had been talking to and Kettle had been talking to. It's the one with a lot of boyfriends and girlfriends, just like this mysterious guy. But his power is that he can, like, kind of push people in the right direction. He can't directly influence things, but he can tell people, like, maybe go this way. Like, that's his whole thing. So that was what the push that Fear and Troll were feeling, was literally the Errant being like, here's Saren's house.
Dumb.
So in this conversation together, they talk about that Fear believes that their people can only be saved by finding Skabandari Blood Eye, and he's going to set out on this quest. And this is the last time we see these brothers together. Oh man, it's just, I don't even know how to frame it. Kind of a whole thing, because then they come to Saren's house, and of course, Troll and Saren have this moment, and then they all say their goodbyes. AJ, what did you make of these brothers here?
I'm very mad at Fear.
Yes,
especially
agreed.
because of his final acts before leaving. Like, it just took so much for Fear to finally be like, oh, Troll was right, we should get out of here. Like, to the absolute detriment of Troll. you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
there is nothing. It's just not the only thing that will get Fear to leave is to be like, oh, well, everything's irredeemable.
I fully agree. And, I hadn't really thought about it until you said it right now, but very fucking aggravating considering Fear from the get was the guy who was like, you're right, we should do this.
Yeah.
I'm all in on this bad boy.
Yeah.
And now here he is, Warlock King there, Rulad's ascending the throne, and he's like, guys, this is a bad idea. We got to change path. I'm going to go on a quest because this was the wrong choice for our people. And it's
just like, it's just like, what happened, Because he knew he and his brothers didn't like the Warlock King from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't this terrible act of like using the prince and queen for the power. Like that wasn't what it was. It was Rulad begging to be killed. Like it wasn't even that. It was fucking Fear seeing like, oh, we lost. Let me go. Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
yeah, it's so frustrating.
Like,
agreed.
Just like
especially
take a stand on one thing.
Next.
Take a stand on one thing. It's so upsetting. It's so annoying because like the whole time he's just been like, well, there's nothing I can do. We have to go along with it. And then once it doesn't work out, he's like, man, this stinks. I gotta go because I don't want to get in trouble. Pay for my actions? What?
Yeah, I'm pissed that it looks like he's being set up for some sort of cool redemption arc, and Troll gets fucking shorn. Like, bullshit.
Very upset.
Troll really, although he has his doubts, like, he fell in line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He did the thing.
Troll has, some, like, moral compass, even if it's a little fucky. It is there.
But here's the thing, right? Troll is being brave and giving voice to these doubts. All he needs is one other human being to have one other eater to have a backbone, right? And like Fear can't give him that. Fear can only continue trying to get him to do this. Like it makes me very, very mad about the whole Troll throwing the spear thing because that's on Fear.
Yeah.
Troll, you have to do this, bro. Troll, this one's on you.
If Fear doesn't make him do that, the eater lose.
Yeah.
And there is it's so
and that was and Fear saw like we're gonna lose if we don't do something about the Sita, and then when they did lose, he's like, well, I can't deal with this, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, god damn it.
And they didn't even lose. They didn't lose. They won still. He just has to have the backbone to do the thing that he's fine asking others to do.
He's just so morally weak that he can't fucking stand by anything. God damn it. I'm so angry. I didn't even realize I was this angry.
No, you are righteously angry right now. It's Inge, do you share their anger?
I saw it differently, kind of, in a way.
Lay it on us.
Like, and maybe that's just, I don't know. Now I'm like questioning what I thought too, because like the way I saw it was that it wasn't about like standing for it as much as it was just like, it was about that. But I don't think it was about the losing situation. Like it felt just more like, okay. When the push came to shove, he needs somebody to tell him what to do, and in a case when he can't, he just kind of bailed. Like
to find somebody else to tell him what to do.
Right. Like I don't know. Like it just seemed like making the choice between my psychopath brother or listening to him beg me to save him. I can't make the choice to bring him back because I don't really necessarily know what he's going to do. He's proven in the past that he's fucking shitty, but I also don't want to stand here and listen to this. And I'm not making a decision. I can't make a decision, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I quite share your anger, but sure. I do agree with your point in that I don't know why this is the line.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we've been doing bad stuff for a while.
But they've always been
like, why was today the day? Do you mean he was there 2 chapters ago in the Battle of, not High Fort. We literally just read it. Anyway, you know what I mean. Shit's been bad,
Brand's Keep.
Pulled
that out of my ass just then. Don't even have the script up.
Anyway.
Yeah.
He lived up to that name, man.
There's really something about him.
Almost something meaningful. Oh my god!
There. And then Troll. It's not a word.
But there really is. Last thing I'll say about it, there really is something about Fear, like walking away and not like running away. That really
fucking fear. I'm pissed again.
That
Anyway,
really,
keep going.
yeah, that really is like, oh, he was of sound mind enough to like walk away, be like, no, I gotta go. Instead of like, man, this is fucked, I gotta leave. Like it wasn't emotional. It was just like, I should go.
But here's a question. Like, is it really that bad? You know, I mean, like, you know, he still came to the decision that, man, this is the wrong way to be doing this.
Sure.
Things are bad. We got to change. Do you mean,
sure.
Isn't it better than never? Do you mean, like, isn't it good still that he came to decide, like, hey, I need to do something about my people?
I don't know if better late than never works in this situation because so many people died.
Yeah, I'm with AJ.
I don't know. Part of me still feels like better late than never vis-a-vis.
Fear is the one with Hanan Mosag who gives Rulad power over the Eater. It is the combination of the Master at Arms and the Warlock King kneeling to him that gives him the authority to begin a war and genocide.
I'm not saying like fear's cool now. I'm just, just considering it.
Yeah,
you know?
yes. Everything, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I don't know what him leaving now is going to do because I don't know how much worse it's about. Like, I don't think it's much is about to change, like the big war and the big bad events have already happened. Like fear leaving isn't really going to change much in this respect. But I do see what I get your point that, yes, it is good that he finally came to his senses. But like, goddamn.
So, Josh, there's this moment where Troll gives Saren his sword and Saren takes it. She kind of thinks it's a meaningless gesture now. What'd you make of this moment now that we've had like 2 or I think 3 moments between these two?
So what I keep coming back to is that Troll is a 16-year-old boy. And when I think of it like that, it's easier to digest, Like, he's just for the first time been like, oh, this is a girl. Yeah. Girl. And like we're in his head suddenly and like his brain's like, oh my God. When I think of it that way, it's easier to understand him being a big doofus in front of her over and over again. And I think these scenes are honestly, their impact is lessened for me because I know he never does anything about it because he's going to end up where he ends up in book 4.
But he could do something about it later.
What? Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he definitely likes. I hope one day they have some kind of moment or relationship but like the dude just is an idiot. I mean, he's just a big like nervous teen who's just kind of unsure of how to talk to the girl he likes, which is very funny.
This is the second or third time he sees her and he says, "Sisters, take me. I would give my heart to this woman." Like,
yeah,
man. Whoa.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, I wish you would just go with her. That'd be fun. Troll, Fear, Saren. That's a cool group. But instead, we just have Fear the fuck.
Yeah.
Inge, what you make of that moment?
I didn't care at that point. To be honest, once Bryce died, Fear left, Troll fought. Like, that's when the book ended for me. So anything after, like when they get to Saren, when they're like, oh my God, we got to come up with a plan. We got to get out of here. I just didn't really care. I didn't find any. I had no idea. I thought it was Fear when I was reading it who had those feelings about Saren, and I was like, that's weird. He just had a wife. But now I guess seeing that it's Troll, that makes a lot of sense because it was Troll before too.
I agree. It is a bit of a come down after the undeniable high of the courtroom scene.
Yeah. So, and then also just like knowing, like, I still don't know why Troll ended up where he ended up, and I'm just annoyed. And that's what
that's something I wanted to ask you. We should get to this quest setting out that happens eventually, but no, let's get to that first, and then I'll get to that point, Inge. Fear's going to set on this quest to find Scabandari Bloodeye, but before they do, the rest of the surviving crew from the Athas show up. So it's Kettle, Udanas, and Wither, and they all kind of make a party, and they're all going to head out of the city together. What do you make of this motley crew, Aj?
I'm very excited about this crew, honestly. Of all the parties we get set up at the end, I think this is the one that I am looking most forward to coming back to. But just like 3 characters, I mean, I guess, I don't know if I would really call Wither that much of his own character throughout the book, but just 3 characters I'm very interested in, or 4 characters rather. No, wait, sorry. I'm so confused. Who's the party? It's Udanas, Kettle, Wither,
Saren is leading,
and Silchus.
Fear, Kettle, Udanas, and Wither.
Got it. Wow. Yes. No. I'm so very excited.
And Silchus Ruin.
I'm. Yeah. Yes. That alone, Silchus Ruin and Fear, but they don't know that it's Silchus Ruin, is like a great setup for a fucking sitcom. Like, you know, whoops, I'm living with my betrayer or my god, whatever. Just really funny.
Whoops, all betrayers.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really excited to see it. I do want to jump back for a moment though, if that's okay.
No rules, just right.
So right after the Wyval jumps out of Udanas and it comes out of Udanas to dig down to fight off whatever is keeping Silchus Ruin. And then Silchus Ruin comes out and Wither's like, oh, I could help the Wyval like really get this thing buried down deep, which leads me further to believe that it's not his daughter. I mean, granted, we don't know anything about Silchus Ruin's daughter really, besides that they were bringing her to the Azath supposedly, but I don't know. It just makes me think it's some sort of other like Forkrilla Sail or something. I just don't know. So that's where that is for me.
Well, I guess maybe we'll find out what happens to these characters if we ever see them again, you know?
Yeah, I really hope we do. This is such a
will.
good... It's just such a literally like motley crew. It's just so... The prospects are endless, you know?
And then we cut to the roof Inge, and Shirk comes up. She says her goodbyes. We find out what Tail's up to. Shirk is going to go off to become a pirate, and Tail has a brief moment with Bug, and it's kind of the end of their story. What did you make of the end of this plotline?
Shirk's goodbye was the most uneventful, yep, see you later, I've ever read.
Yeah.
And I was unsatisfied with it. I think they should have had at least, I mean, I guess really what do you expect from them, these funny little friends?
Right.
So like I get it, but also, you know, I love a good sappy ending. So I wanted more. But, you know, Bug and Tail just doing what they do, Tail going to take a nap and Bug going to run errands. You gotta love it. Satisfying ending. I was satisfied, but unsatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's get to this big question then. Maybe bigger picture thoughts about this ending. But I would love to just know, Josh, Inge maybe mentioned being frustrated. We don't really know why Troll was shorned.
I mean, I have to imagine it's going to be for refusing to kill Rulad when he begged for him to do so.
Yeah, he's an idiot for going back.
Yeah. Of course he's a big dumb dummy.
Yeah.
I mean, he also like expresses doubt throughout, you know. In my opinion, now I don't know, it might get filled in a future book, but if it didn't get, like right now, if I had to decide for myself why he gets shorn, to me the logical reason is he comes back. Rulad has been twisted by the Warlock King, and Rulad comes to the decision that Fear left because Troll is a betrayer. He's been voicing doubts so long. Him and his brothers turned their backs on Rulad and left him to just kind of be there. And I could easily see them being a reason to shorn Troll.
Let me reframe the question, because I agree with what you're saying, but I suppose
I wanted to see it.
Yeah,
are we going to see it? Sorry, are we not going to see it?
So
Probably
there's
not.
this obvious idea that when you would come into a book like this, that it would be about this moment where like Troll betrayed his people, and it's like it's a like. But I think by the end of the book, we don't see what happened, despite kind of this being the frame of the book. But as you said, I would say we know why he was shorned, but we didn't really see it, or we don't really know why, but we know, like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, we understand.
Yeah. I have an understanding of Troll's kind of motivations and intentions and how they are antithetical to the current Eater Empire and why. And I also understand that, like, him being the brother of Rulad probably leads to, like, the need for it to be shorn rather than just killed.
But did you find it dissatisfying, and overall, did you find the ending satisfying?
Oh, I loved it. No, I thought it was great. I don't need to see, if we never see the scene of like him being told, you know, here's what you did wrong, I think I'm fine with that. Honestly, I want to go back and read the start of House of Chains now.
You should. It makes a lot more sense.
That's what I'm doing.
He's got it in his hand. Let's go.
Did you find the ending satisfying?
I mean, yeah. It wasn't satisfying in the way that I thought it would be satisfying. Like, obviously, I was expecting...
Classic Steve.
Yeah, I was to say, I was expecting, and I should have ended my thought there because I shouldn't expect anything. But I was expecting to, see the shorning or whatever, at least like an act that was like, and then Troll was shorned, like, which obviously, isn't the case. But I think we have seen enough of like, his relationship and stuff to know that like he's not going to last long, especially on his own. Yeah. To like, have fear being like there to constantly be like, no, shut the fuck up. But yeah, I don't know. I felt fine about not getting that like final moment or whatever. And I really did enjoy the final moments of Tehol and Bug, talking to each other, and Tehol thanking Bug that, for not making him forget so that he can grieve in his own way. It's just very, very sweet and very nice. And I think a more satisfying ending than if we were like, and then Troll got shorned, I think it's just more satisfying.
India, what about you? Were you satiated by the ending?
Yeah. I'm gonna say overall, yes. Like, it was a good ending. It wrapped up nicely, and it left questions that I thought were supposed to be answered in this book. So, I mean, objectively, yes, I am satisfied. I am happy. But I would have liked to know why the Troll incident happened. I would have liked to see it with my own eyes, but I won't hold it against him because he gave me a very good story.
Yeah.
I do just want to say one last thing for me about this ending.
The ending just makes me really sad. It's a bummer ending in a way, No,
wait, why do you say that?
I don't know. I mean, I know I was kind of being down on it earlier, but really I was kind of just trying to praise the other parts of the book. But the ending's just so sad, And I feel like when I was reading through the book this time, when I got to the beginning, it was so clear how, like, we're all doomed from the start. Do you know what I mean? Just like all of these characters in their initial circumstances, like we are just, and we talked about tragic endings in House of Chains, and I just feel much more about this, about the Eater people, being consumed, becoming an empire, being I don't know if I can articulate it well, but it just, yeah, it's just such a tremendous bummer,
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to like reference myself because that feels like an extremely pretentious thing to do. But earlier on in this book, I had said everything changed and nothing has. And I feel like that is kind of where we've ended up, where like everything has changed, but also nothing has. Like, we still end the final lines of this chapter are excellent. Now I'm going to bed. And Bug saying, good idea, master. And Tehol just responds, well, of course, Bug. It's mine, isn't it? Which is like exactly where we started. But underneath all of that, everything is different. But like, we are just back where we started, and all of the previous events seemingly, don't ultimately matter because nothing really matters. It's yeah.
I just feel like a general sense of frustration. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fucking Christ, everybody. Why did you have to be this way? Do you know what I mean? And I know the answer because I think the characters are so well drawn. Do you know what I mean? And that's obviously why I feel so frustrated. And it's like, is there a problem in the book? Right? Like, yeah, there is the problem. There's this like war between them. But really, it's like, man, these people are just... We didn't do it, gang. We didn't do it, and as a result, things went really bad. Things went some of the worst ways they could have gone. Oh my God, everybody! Why did we do this? Why did we do this, everybody? It didn't have to be this way, Josh.
I had a better time than you did, I guess. That was fun.
I thought it was fun. That was a great time.
Yeah.
You thought the ending was fun? Like, woohoo, fun time?
Well, the Shirk and Tehol and Bug stuff's always fun,
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other stuff was, I'll admit, a little bit of a drag.
I guess it just makes me feel a deep sense of sorrow.
See, here, Peter, my strategy is when I put the book down, I cease thinking about it or any sort of greater implications on my worldview, because it's a book, and that's how I read books.
Well, Josh, we, I suppose, live different lives in that.
Yes.
Speaking of which, though, I was in the bathing house, chilling out, and I'm sitting there, and I was thinking about what I was going to say on the podcast, as I often do, and I had this really dark moment. I was thinking about this scene where Roulad's talking about how he wants to be loved, and I was like, oh my God, am I Roulad? Am I just Roulad?
Yeah, I had that a couple times too. Yeah, as the youngest sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
it didn't make me feel good.
No, yeah, but that's definitely
yeah.
And I mean, we addressed that at the time, but that's definitely part of the reason why I have been empathizing with Roulad like this entire book. It's because it really is kind of what it feels like to be the youngest sibling and like just want your older siblings to like you, but like multiplied by a billion, like
it really wasn't that hard for me to make my sibling like me. I'm just saying. Maybe he's just not likable.
I'm not saying my siblings don't like me, but I just do feel like there is a constant seeking of approval.
You have a brother?
I have an older brother and 2 older sisters.
Listen, we got to get to the epilogue, but and we have more wrap-up thoughts we can talk about in the wrap-up show. But I did just want to get a read on, now that the book's over. We kind of talked about it a bit last time. The Eater people, they're a tribe on the fringe, and then, they're going to get conquered, and then all of a sudden, they try and defend themselves, and then all of a sudden, it's like, whoops, we did an empire, What? So how do we feel that the Eater came out on top, and, like, I don't know, I just wonder how you feel, because really it's a story about 2 peoples, and in the end, how do you feel about where we ended up?
Yeah, I just think it just kind of goes to show... You're like, no matter who's in charge, and for whatever reason, it's never going to be like what was it all for? Just so that they could say that now they're in charge and they have a crazy fucking emperor now. Like, it's the same shit. Nothing is going to, I just don't understand, like, the people that they thought were lesser came out, won, and now they just have a fucking, now a psychopath is the emperor. It's just kind of like, it's shitty. Because I don't know if I would have preferred, I think I would have preferred Lether win, the Lether people at this point.
I don't think there's a good ending to this war, personally.
Right.
Other than I guess if Tehel had gotten to crash the economy.
And I think Male Bug kind of says something when he's like, yeah, like, none of you guys have ever gotten it right. And like,
yeah,
you're still not. So it's just going to keep going.
I'm sorry, but you're not going to be the ones, but
Yeah.
So I think that's just it. Like, the world keeps on turning, baby.
I thought that was a really interesting conversation between the 2 of them when they're like, do even do good things together? Yeah. And then like, I don't know. It was about collectivism.
There's a really good line in there that Bug has that's you saw your vices as virtues or something. Or you made your vices virtues, which I thought was very poignant.
How so?
Well, I mean, if you look at like capitalism, I guess, like the vices of holding, or greed of being the biggest vice, I suppose, of just like holding that wealth above people and holding people at debt, with debts and stuff, is just it's implying that greed and being greedy is a good thing, and that everybody should strive to be this greedy. When you boil it down, it's more coded than that, but boiling it down, it's like, oh, well, you should hoard your money and you should be.
But I think then to ego, and obviously another, one of these. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's get to the epilogue. We can't just go down, but like, I just think it's like, I don't know, like, and it just goes into like the Eater are consumed by these things that like they were trying to stand against. It's a very sad story, and I'm getting sad talking about it, so. Yeah,
it's sad, man.
Anyway, let's quickly discuss the epilogue. Epilogue. The demon princes gaze down the hole they threw the Forkal assailant to. On the crippled god's island, Withel and Sandalith watch a storm rage over the ocean. Withel sees a boat coming and rushes to the tent and knocks it down, exposing the god. The crippled god is furious with him, but Withel flees to the boat, where he sees Bug. Bug says the boat is for them, and that he's going to beat a god senseless. Josh, what'd you make of the epilogue?
The demon thing was silly, and I would say unnecessary, except, of course, that folklore sale is going to pop up somewhere, and this big old hole is important for something, one day. The island thing was incredible. I've known it had to mean something that Withel kept praying to Mael, that's got to come back some way, but, I didn't expect Bug to be Mael, and then Bug to show up, and then just beat the shit out of the crippled god, he says. I could see that honestly happening. I also, the thing with the whatchamacallit, the Nox, and having been breaking the nest over and over, I loved that, him having that realization, his power is contained to this tent. If I destroy the tent, he will, for a while, be powerless, and we can... That was so funny and interesting to me.
I don't get it.
So the crippled god's, so... From what I can tell, India, he has immense power, but, the places and ways in which he can use it are severely limited because of his injuries he has. So as far as I can tell, in this, wherever they are, his power is literally contained in that tent. And so they realize if they just knock the tent down from the outside, his power just kind of goes away.
Who
for
realized
at least a little bit. Withel, the blacksmith on the island.
And what are you saying about the other people?
The Nox, the monkey things, the big Baccaral monkey creature thingies, they had been building nests and destroying them over and over again. And then Withel was like, they've been giving me the hints. Build the nest, knock it down.
Yeah, that also, I had no idea. I just saw cool. Bug, and I was like, oh.
I'm curious to see where Sandalath and Withel go. I guess they'll be part of the story now.
Aren't they in something?
Yeah, they're in some sort of warren or something.
Are they just floating around the warren, or are they leaving the warren in that boat?
They're leaving. Bug's going to get them out, assumedly, with this boat.
Okay.
And they'll show up somewhere.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us here today. Obviously, we have a lot of thoughts that we tried to get through, but these finales, so much happens, so I'm sure some stuff slipped through the cracks. Shoot us an email at 10verybigbooks@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the show. And we're gearing up because in 2 weeks, we'll release our Midnight Tides mailbag and wrap-up show where we talk about the book as a whole and compared to the other ones we've read so far. So we would love to get your listeners' questions. We're going to tweet, we're going to look in the Discord, and we're going to try and answer as many as we can next time.
We've got a special guest also for the mailbag.
It is. We do have a special guest.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
We do.
I won't say it now. Maybe I'll say it in the credits.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're trying to keep it a secret.
And I'm saying it like it's spooky.
Yeah.
A spooky guest.
India, do you know who the guest is?
Yes, you know who it is too.
Anyway,
tweet at us, tell a friend about the show, leave a review on iTunes, podcast stuff. Anyway, so here's a quick little thing though. So originally,
I remember. I remember who the guest is.
You son of a bitch.
It just warped into my brain.
Oh!
Here's a quick little thing though. So before before the start of the episode, we actually had a scheduling conflict at the end. So we were kind of, I couldn't do the intro I wanted to do.
Okay.
But, we got to the end now and we have more actually time on our hands scheduling wise. So what I'm going to do is quick after the credits, going to have a quick little outro post little bonus thing with my little co-host here. It is completely unrelated to Malazan. So, see you after the credits.
Hello, everyone. Producer AJ here, and I've been editing all day. Thank you so much for listening to this finale episode of Midnight Tides. This book has truly been a roller coaster of emotions, and we definitely didn't get all of our thoughts out in this honkin' episode, but we are not done talking about it yet. In 2 weeks, we will be releasing our Midnight Tides mailbag episode with our very special guest, Books with Brittany. We are so excited to have a guest on the mailbag, and even more excited that Brittany agreed to be that guest. All that
that being said, we will, as always, be taking your questions and comments over the next week on Twitter at 10verybigbooks, via email 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, and in a special channel in our Discord. If you aren't a member of our Discord and would like to be, you can head on over to bit.ly/VBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D Discord. That link will also be in the show notes. Again, we will only be taking your questions and comments until next week, February 20th, just about. So if you have something you want us to maybe talk about, please hit us up sooner rather than later. Thank you, of course, to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute to the show, you can head to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. That link will also be in the show notes. And I do just want to say, before I get into the ending of the credits, this season marks the halfway point for the series, and we are so grateful to have made it this far. It's been really gratifying and positive experience for me and hopefully the rest of the crew. And I really just want to say thank you so much for helping make this show such a big and rewarding part of my life. I love you all. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for a retweet from me about how happy I am to have him be a part of the show. Love you, Danny. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one, the only, the illustrious, the untouchably talented, and all-around great person, Amaranthin, from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on February 26th with the Midnight Tides mailbag special with special guest Books with Brittany. Get your questions in by the 20th. I love you very much. I will talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.
I'm just coming in, just looking for some hot takes, looking for some 2 cents. I've been, as all good cultured people are, rewatching The Office. Ugh. And, is Jim a bad dude for hitting on Pam so much while she's engaged?
I've seen a total of 6 episodes of The Office, so I'm unqualified to answer.
Yeah, I'm also not a big Office head.
Me either.
Are you?
Oh my god,
Christ.
I've never met so many people. I'm usually lambasted for not having seen the whole thing. This is incredible.
All right.
Okay, end the episode, I guess. This is the worst post-credits sequence we've ever done.
And like they say on The Office, go do your work.
Peacock!
All right.
Can I hit stop?